We're bringing something to you that you've never heard of or seen of on our channel.
This bullet flew by his ear and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum.
We're going to be talking about conspiracies. And
always been this white rabbit link at the bottom of the page that takes you to a cryptic message.
From Biden stepping down,
they're forcing him to step down,
to is Trump a time traveler? Are you kidding me?
Nikola Tesla figured out time travel, and the man responsible for collecting all of his work was John G. Trump, Donald Trump's uncle. There's rumors that Donald Trump inherited Tesla's work.
Welcome in from North Carolina. That's where I'm at. As you can see, I've got my wife on here. She's down in the studio, and I got Trevor Keys, and we're bringing something to you that you've never heard of or seen of on our channel, and it is a new show called LatterDay Conspiracies. That's right. We're going to be talking about conspiracies, and today there's a lot going on, from Biden stepping down to maybe Romney stepping up, to Ezra's eagle, to the white horse prophecy, to is Trump a time traveler?
dude. So just so that we're clear, is Trump a time traveler? Is something we're gonna hit, right?
Right.
Ezra's eagle, like everybody online's chatting about Ezra's eagle, right? The white horse prophecy. Okay, I mean this is some good stuff.
So the question is why is my wife on this show? Well, Angie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here with you guys.
What's up, Ange?
And truly, if there's somebody who knows Latter-day Conspiracies, it's my wife. And they might not actually be conspiracies. They might actually be prophetic truths. And so the question that we're going to discuss is, are these prophecies or are they conspiracies? Because the difference between prophecies and conspiracies is a very fine line. So, Trevor, why don't you kick us off and let's jump right into the discussion today.
All right. So first off, I got to say, when after Shane got married, he's every single time I'd bring up a conspiracy, he's like, "Bro, you're just like Angie. Angie's totally into these conspiracies." He keeps telling me this, right? And then finally, I got to know Angie. We went out to dinner one time, and we nerded out on conspiracies. It was like,
right.
I found my people. I found my people.
Read. The last year and a half, I just have read and look at the social media. I'm starting to follow certain people who put out different ideas. And I think that there's so many different things going on in the world right now. You have to keep an absolutely open mind and cannot say what you think is 100% and what's not. I think that all of us have seen that before our eyes.
Dude, just what happened after COVID, like, and during COVID, I swear, like, my list of conspiracies, there's only like 3 left because like everything came true. You remember that time frame when people just were texting, Alex Jones was right about this, that
Yes.
someone was right. I mean, it was just like
Trevor, make yourself bigger. I know you're trying to manage this, but you got me. I'm the big. Oh, there you go. There you go. That's better.
Yeah. It was just like, I wanted you to pose while I was doing it. It was just like thing after thing after thing kept coming true. And it was all while we were stuck, working from home on our phones all day long. And it was just like, are you kidding me? Like, I felt like it was on like a new timeline,
Right.
And so here we are. So, okay, we're going to jump into the very first part, which we're going to talk about what happened with Trump. Okay, let me see if I can get this the right way. Okay.
You got to go to your slide. Oh, are you going here or are you going to your slide deck? There's your slide deck.
Yeah, here's my slide deck. Okay. Does that come up good?
Perfect.
All right. So we'll be toggling back and forth between this presentation and some videos and some notes that we got. But obviously we just got this apocalyptic scene going on right now. And the scary thing is when you see something like this, it's just like, oh, this is like some video game or a movie. But to me, like when you go back and you actually read the apocalyptic text, all of that stuff, it's scary. You know what I mean? Like it scares me. And I get worried about this Ezra Eagles prophecy that we're going to talk about, because I don't want it to come true.
Trust me, my wife the other day said, "Hey, do you care if I go and pull out a little bit of cash and get some supplies?" Wasn't that right, Ange?
Well, I've
What
been
did you
doing
say?
that for the last year, but yes, but recently I feel like so many things are happening that I'm following, online, and they are happening, especially when I listen to Alex Jones a lot. He's had 30 years to call out things. He's been studying globalists for 30 years, and he started calling for this Trump assassination that it was going to happen a few months ago. Once it happened, he started saying Biden's going to step down. Just
On July 9th, I just watched a video of his. On July 9th, he predicted that by the 20th or
he
21st,
said the 20th.
the 20th, he'd be done.
And that's exactly what happened. Now, he's
Yeah.
the one that I don't want to need to get into it right now, but I know we're going to talk about it. But he's the one that's starting to say that they're going to. I know they're saying Kamala will be the the one to run, but I truly feel that they're going to try to put Hillary Clinton in there. But we can talk about that later.
Oh, not Hillary again. I
What?
know we're going to get into this, but are we going to see Hillary again? And listen, I know we're going to do a show on 9/11. And if you go look at what Alex Jones said about 9/11, Angie, I mean, he was.
Well, it's just a month or two before 9/11 happened.
It was in
He started
July.
saying
In July.
they are going to they're going to have planes flying to the World Trade Center. They're going to blame it on a dude named Osama bin Laden, which none of us really knew at that point.
Nobody knew. Nobody knew who Bin Laden was. They got planes flying into the World Trade Center. They got a guy
Right.
named Bin Laden that the CIA is going to blame it on.
Right.
Yeah.
This guy has his sources.
And to be honest, I can't stand Alex Jones's voice. I tell my wife all the time, man, I can't stand this guy. But
I love him. I love him.
I
think
love him
he's
too. I think
hilarious.
I think he knows so much information and wants to get the information out. He's got a lot of ticks and he just starts yelling. And I can't imagine
he's right. He's right.
knowing
He's
what
been
he
right.
knows, trying to warn people.
Yeah.
So
So basically, Shane and Ange, like the question that we were talking about is like, are these prophecies important? Are these conspiracies important? A lot of people are just like, I try to share these with some friends and they're like, I hate talking about stuff like that. And I get it because it's scary, but it's on our doorstep.
mm-hmm.
And we've been given these scriptures and these prophecies for a reason. And then when you start looking at everything that's happening with the eclipse and the 7-year cross through America, and then some of this new stuff like the White Buffalo prophecy and the Hopi prophecy, it's like, how can we just stick our head in the sand? And it really drives me crazy when I have a family member, a friend who just scared, sticks their head in the sand. But hopefully us talking about this can inspire some of you, inspire us personally. It's probably a good idea to go get some silver and some gold and some food storage and make sure your water's all dialed in, and what's the worst that can happen? You wait, 10 years and nothing does happen. But anyways, just something I was thinking of. Okay, so we're going to jump into the first scene here. The most infamous picture ever. So where were you guys when this happened? Shane was in North Carolina. Angie, where were you?
No, I was at home getting ready to go to North Carolina.
Okay.
I was laying on the bed. I was actually watching it live. It happened to be just on TV. I'm watching it. I don't know why I have the TV on. And
well,
I'm like,
and what's interesting, honey, is that it was even streamed, because CNN and Fox and these other two channels don't just pick up Donald Trump's rallies, but they all had this one on live. Well, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And so I'm in the bedroom and I'm like, President Trump just got shot. Andrew's like, oh no, I saw something online. And then she comes in and she's like, oh my gosh. And then we were glued to the TV for the next several hours. I don't know, Trevor, where were you?
I was floating down the Provo River with my daughters.
Right.
And
That's right.
It's an hour and a half float. And dude, that water is freezing cold.
Freezing.
Have you guys done it?
Oh, well, it's coming straight out of the mountain. I have, yeah. It's freezing.
But I forget, because that's the same day that you had your girls over to my house, and we had all our kids and we had a parade. That's the same day that happened that night.
Yeah. So luckily I bought a waterproof case for my phone, and seriously, like half the way down the river, I was just watching videos and tweets and everything. I was so sick. This reminds me of like, where were you when you found out about 9/11? And I bet you for like our parents, some of our grandparents, where were they when they heard about JFK? You know, like it was this big of a deal. It's this historic of a thing that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
What an iconic picture too. And truly, like, and I know it's all over social media. He just moves his head at the perfect moment, at the
Yeah.
perfect time. And I don't care who you are, God was involved, divine providence was taking place at this moment. And if you're not paying attention to that, recognizing that that slight move changed everything, like,
Everything.
listen, there's a lot of people thinking that because he didn't get assassinated, that we've shifted timelines and all of this stuff. So there's a bunch of stuff going on now, and President Trump is still alive.
Yeah, he is. And you know, I was so mad, and I think I still am mad, but I'm talking as soon as I found out about it, floating down the river, driving home, I kept telling my kids how mad I was that somebody tried to kill our president. And I think I would have been just as mad, maybe not equally as mad, but just as mad if it was Biden, you know, like this is our president. And regardless of what you think of Trump, I would hope that you're praying for Trump, for Kennedy, for Biden, for Kamala, whoever at all times to be safe. Like,
Totally,
I
totally.
mean, come on,
You never want to see somebody that's running for political office
bro. Anywhere,
get hurt.
any country, anywhere. Like that is just a horrible. It's the worst thing that can happen to a civilization is to kill your leaders. Look what happened in the Book of Mormon.
Totally.
I mean, it's the absolute epitome of the Gadiaton robbers on a full scale plan. And to me, now that you're seeing all of the breakdown of stuff that happened, you know, eventually, if you're not a conspiracy theorist, but you're calm and you don't believe in those things, eventually though, there's so much facts that come out about how mishandled this was, how long this kid was wandering around, how they, you know,
They
they knew
knew
he
he
was there
was
for
wandering
hours.
around. They had videos, they had people
Hours.
warning. And yeah, well, like you said, there's so many things. Videos are coming out. There was someone on top of the water tower. There were at least 2 shooters.
Yeah,
There's
they have,
analyzation of the gunshots, and there's at least 3 guns that went off.
yeah. They've got audio breakdown of it. There was a senator that was on last night. He says he believes there's at least 2 gunmen from the information that's been shown to him. I mean, it's just this was here a Gadiaton
I
robber.
think it
This
absolutely
was an
was a deep
evil
state
secret
attempt.
combination. This was a secret combination to take down the president. And a lot of people are saying what's happening with Biden stepping down. There's a lot of people on the Democrat Party that are saying this is a coup. They are making him, they're forcing him to step down. And
Well, yes, and you look at the last few months, the press secretary and Kamala Harris and so many other people who say that they work with Biden every day is just absolutely sharp and he's as smart
right.
as ever. They have tweets out there, they have videos out there of them trying to make us feel like President Biden wasn't in a cognitive decline. And now it's coming out that it was shown, obviously, at the debate and breakdown from there. Now they're just trying to push him out with a coup.
Yeah,
This is crazy what we're watching
it's
before
absolutely.
our eyes.
It is. And we're going to show, we've got some tweets about what's going to happen there. But before we get into that, we're going to talk about
Let's get
this.
into prophecy.
Let's
Like,
talk about this guy.
is this prophecy?
This is
And
prophecy, bro.
and I'm telling you, listen, I don't know who this guy is. I know he's a Christian, but listen, the scriptures talk about prophets, and I know we have our prophet, but is this guy prophesying? I mean, I'm asking myself the question: is this guy prophesying? Because
Okay.
what he said seems pretty prophetic.
Well, all 3 of us have watched the video that we're going to show next. And I bet a lot of you guys watching this at home, I bet you've seen this. So just talking about it beforehand, like this is 100% prophecy, right? Like I don't care who this guy is. What he saw is undeniable. And the details and everything are so crazy that it makes me want to hear what else did this guy see? What, you know what I mean? Like, what other things? If I had a friend that was predicting stuff like this, I'd be like, bro, what else is gonna happen? You know? Tell me
And
more.
this guy's name is Brandon Briggs. If you haven't seen, he's blown up literally since last Saturday. He went from a few thousand followers to he's getting 30,000 subscribers daily. I mean, people are now interested in what he has to say because of what you guys are going to watch here.
So Shane, is this guy like a preacher, or do you know exactly what?
They call him Prophet Brandon,
Okay.
and
He
he gets.
I think he is a preacher, but he gets these downloads, he says. And then he goes on and says, I was shown this. You know, I've seen some things in his past, so I don't know if
He's
Okay.
kind of like a Kim Clement, if you know who Kim Clement is. These guys that are just getting these these downloads,
Information.
these visions, these dreams. I mean,
let's go ahead and listen to it.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. We're gonna watch this, and just so that we're clear, this was done. When did he record this?
It was like March, Angie, right?
March or April of this year.
Okay, so this isn't recent. This is in March or April.
He said there's going to be a new
March
wave
14th.
of patriotism coming out, and that's whenever I saw Trump, and I saw a red wave coming out of Michigan, and then I saw Oklahoma, and there was embers of people, and they were all on these. They had torches all throughout Oklahoma, and they were raising up these torches that looked like fire, and they were bringing forth a new patriotism upon the nation. And it was coming, it was being birthed, and it just kept spreading like fire all throughout America, all throughout. And I saw Trump rising up, and then I saw an attempt on his life. This bullet flew by his ear, and it came
Pause
so
that.
close to his.
What? He saw an assassination attempt
I'm going back
on President Trump, and a bullet flying by his ear?
And then he ends up seeing blood on his ear. Okay, let's hear this.
This bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum. And I saw he fell to his knees during this time frame, and he started worshiping the Lord. He got radically born again during this time frame.
Okay, let's hold up here. We know that happened, right? Like he fell to his knees. This guy saw the blood, and I'm just guessing he thought, oh, it blew his eardrum because there's blood. How could it go so close to his ear, not kill him, and have there be blood? But obviously, he saw Trump. He saw this bullet whiz. He's seeing blood. Sees him, drops to his knees and start praying. And then what we've heard from everybody after this is this has radically changed Trump. Like radically, he's just like more on fire for God than he's ever been. He knows 100% he was spared by God. Like, and anyone who saw the convention and the speeches, Trump said it several times. All right, should I keep going?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm talking, people say he's saved now, but he becomes really on fire for Jesus, for what I saw coming. And then I saw people interceding when I saw him winning the presidency through great, the Lord showed me it would go clear into the summer. Great persecution would come on him through the judges and through the law and all these people trying to sue him and all this stuff. But there would be a stop to it, and things would start to break free come toward the fall. And then I saw him winning the election.
Okay, there's that.
Okay,
that is interesting.
So that's currently happening. And now, are we talking about all the indictments and everything? No, we're not. We're talking about rallies. We're talking about,
we're
Trump
talking about
speeches.
Biden, Kamala.
Yeah. And he's saying that Trump is going to win. So first he sees a bullet. Now I'm trusting that Trump's going to win. If that's what if he saw the bullet go by Trump's ear, I think Trump wins.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. Keep it going. Keep it going, because it gets really interesting to what he sees next.
It gets dark. Here we go.
Patriots coming out and voting, and then there will be a great economy crash. Yeah. I saw they had a great economy plan, a crash. Yeah.
So that's not good. I'm going to keep playing it, but I just want to say that's no bueno.
And just so everybody understands, the Dow Jones is as high as it's ever been in its history. I think it was getting close to 41,000 if it hasn't already hit 41,000.
Yeah.
Well, people like Alex Jones says that they're purposely going to take down the stock market this next year in the spring. And also that this crowd strike that just happened a few days ago was just a precursor to seeing how much that they could bring down. So there's a conspiracy
I
for
have
you.
heard that about CrowdStrike as well. Okay, here we go. Hopefully it gets better.
In the Great Depression. And the Lord warned me about this. It would be a great dark time. But I saw paddles coming upon America's soil like a shocking of the soil. And I saw Donald Trump praying in the office of the Oval Office, and he was weeping before the Lord with his hands on his head like this. But he was weeping, and there was ministers and people. I don't know if they were senators or Congress people or whatever. I just saw them pacing and back and forth inside of the White House. And sorry, what is the White House, but it's the Oval Office. Yeah. And they were interceding all inside there, and I could feel the presence of the Lord so strong on this. And then I could see that darkness that was the heaviness upon America with the financial crisis of what I saw coming. It started to lift above the trees, and I saw the blue and the things coming back out, and the green times and the good times coming back again. But the Lord said it would be forth a time of a season of a shaking, and it would be a shaking to awaken. And in this, this would basically that he was not done with America. There would be a great revival come, and it's not all doom and gloom. That's what he said. The sky's not falling.
Woof. Okay, the sky's not falling, but I'll tell you what, that sounded like sky falling material to me.
But and I think this is how the Lord works with his children. I mean, I know it firsthand. You want to wake somebody up, take their stuff. And so I think honestly, it would do all of us maybe a good service to go through some hard things. And maybe that's the revival that we need as Americans. And maybe all of a sudden you're sitting around thinking that you're good, your 401k is fat and life is good, and then all of a sudden it's gone. And maybe that's what drives you to your knees. And that sounds like that's what Brandon's talking about.
So, you know how in the Book of Mormon, when it talks about how they buried their riches and how they went back to them and how they just disappeared,
Totally.
right? And there's a saying, and I say it all the time when people lose money in business or in speculation. I always say, oh, it became slippery unto you.
Yep.
Right? It
Yes.
became slippery unto you.
They're
I always thought
unable
that
to
was
keep the riches.
it was such a weird way to describe it. You know, I don't know if that was Moroni or sorry, that would have been Mormon maybe. That was like, but it became slippery unto them. And you know, when you see the stock market drop in half, and this guy in other videos, when he was talked about it, he said, "I saw that it fell to half." Imagine the stock market falling in half, or what if the value of the dollar was cut in half?
Cut in half, right?
Because of what's happening with the BRICS and the currency. And now, ever since Nixon was in office, we went on to the petrodollar, right? We were on gold forever, and we pivoted onto this petrodollar, and that was done through an alliance with OPEC. And Saudi Arabia was the crowning member of OPEC, and it was agreed upon. It would agreed upon that all dollars through all central banks throughout all the entire world would be on dollars, and that it would be backed by OPEC, and OPEC would trade exclusively in dollars. It's the reason we went to war in Iraq. Like when they wanted to get off the U.S. dollars. The reason why we took out Libya, because they were launching their own currency. It's like there's only 9 countries in the world that aren't through the central bank system, which uses the dollar tied to petrol. Well, now Saudi Arabia last month, it's like, we're not doing it in dollars anymore.
Yep.
And it's
major changes coming with the dollar.
Crazy. Major changes coming. So anyways, some other things this guy says, and then we'll jump on to the next part of the slide, is he says there's going to be a massive earthquake. Have any of you guys seen any of those videos?
I saw that he says there's going to be an earthquake on the West Coast.
On the West Coast, I heard that.
Really high on the West Coast, going down to California, but also he talks about an earthquake along that. What do they call it? The New Madrid Fault.
The New Madrid Fault.
Going up into Illinois. He talks about that a lot.
Does he? That's scary. I feel like something there is going to happen. I think not just me. Anyone who has a brain who's looked at it's like.
You know what's interesting? I saw on the news that they actually are running drills, earthquake drills up in
Missouri or Illinois, wherever it was.
yes, yeah, last week.
What's interesting is that whole area is all through like the church historic sites and like early Nauvoo and where
Yeah, it
everything
is.
is, and that place is going to get flattened. And I don't know if we should talk about it, but we know somebody who just had a dream slash vision that says when a earthquake's going to happen and it's going to flatten the Wasatch Mountains, and like these things are just coming out everywhere, and I'm just like, how about somebody have a good dream? How about somebody come up with a sweet, like Elon Musk is going to give everybody Cybertruck type dream,
Yeah, it
Okay,
hasn't come in yet.
moving along. What do we got
That's
next,
something
Trevor?
good. All right, let me get my screen up here again. Um,
So, Ange, while I got you, while he's pulling that up, so have you looked at other stuff from this Brandon Briggs as well?
Oh yeah, I watched a lot of his videos the other day, and he really did go into detail more about the earthquake back. He talks a lot about in Seattle, and then going down that area.
Was he
Yeah.
talking like it's going to fall off into the ocean?
He was talking huge. He's I'm trying to remember right now, you guys, because it was kind of long. But I mean, but destruction. I don't remember
Submerged? What would it be?
I don't remember
submerged?
I don't remember that part. I know that that's something that's been around for a long time.
Okay, I'm up and I'm ready. We're taking a hard right turn here. Okay, this is gonna go into like folklore, pop culture. Boom. You guys know this book? You
Totally.
guys-
And for me, like I found this like a year ago. This has been floating around for the last year or two. I
Bro,
remember
I
showing.
saw it. I
It's
saw it
been
right
around for
after Trump got elected. I saw it in like
it's been around for
2017.
years. Somebody pointed out
2017.
years ago.
Yeah.
It's actually incredible, and you cannot make this stuff up. So if you don't know the story of Barron Trump marvelous underground journey and the last president, well, tune in right now, and you can't make this stuff up. So Trevor, take it away.
Yeah, this is absolutely crazy. Okay, so this was written by a guy, Ingersoll Lockwood. Okay, this was published in
1893.
1893, right? So we got a video that will show it better than we could ever explain it. So I'm gonna cue this thing up, and can you guys see my screen? Okay,
Yep.
I'm gonna go full screen, and
This is one of the wildest conspiracy theories I've ever heard before. So there's this book called Marvelous Underground Journey, which was written in 1893. The story is about a boy named Barron who lives in Trump Castle. And Barron became bored with his life of luxury and decided to go on an adventure. And on this adventure, he was being guided by a man named Don, who helped him find a time travel portal in Russia. Then the same author wrote a sequel 3 years later, and he titled it The Last President. The main plot of this book was about a wealthy man who lived on Fifth Avenue in New York City that decided to run for president. Then shortly after he wins the election that no one thought he could, he's inaugurated and he selects a new cabinet member by the name of Mr. Pence. Then after his inauguration, since no one thought he would win, people erupted into violence and people started to riot and damage property left and right. So here's where it gets really weird. Nikola Tesla, who had claimed to have figured out time travel, had about 80 trunks worth of his life's work. When he died in 1943, the man responsible for collecting all of his work was an MIT professor by the name of John G. Trump.
Hold on. Pause this. Stop everything. Are you freaking kidding me?
this lines up too. That's the crazy thing about it. When I saw this, I'm like, okay, this is someone being funny. No, this all lines up. And you've heard him talk about his uncle a ton, right? He brags about this uncle all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
do you have a dog on your lap?
He wanted to be held. He's my little baby.
Aww.
Oh,
Which
there's
one?
Ollie.
Is that Ollie?
That's one-eyed Willie. For all our viewers out there, we have a French bulldog. Meet Ollie. He's only got one eye because a cat took out his eye on a walk.
Yep.
What an evil cat. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Ready?
I can't believe this is true. Donald Trump's uncle inherits all of Tesla's stuff. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, for the government to go through it and categorize it and see what they wanted to not pass over for patents and stuff. And yeah, here we go.
Okay, this is getting interesting.
And get this, after John Trump died, there's rumors that Donald Trump inherited Tesla's work. So the theory is Donald Trump used a time machine to travel into the future where he saw Hillary Clinton win the presidency, which then led the US into a complete collapse. So he traveled back in time, decided to run for president to try to save the country.
Trump's uncle, John G. Trump, was recruited to examine Nikola Tesla's personal papers and laboratory equipment after Tesla's passing in 1943. It is claimed that Trump's involvement in this endeavor led to the confiscation of approximately 80 crates of Tesla's documents. The exact nature of the materials seized from Tesla's estate by John Trump is shrouded in secrecy. Speculation abounds regarding the potential groundbreaking scientific discoveries, technological advancements, and possibly revolutionary energy-related concepts contained within those documents. However, due to limited access and lack of public disclosure, the precise contents remain.
Is Donald Trump a time traveler?
Some people say so. There's
Let's
a
put out another cryptic message.
Whoops, my bad. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna jump to this next video because it's kind of like a continuation of the first, right? But you remember the guy's name who wrote the book,
Ingersoll Lockwood. Ange, what
Okay.
do you think about that? I want your thoughts on what we just watched. What do you think?
Okay, well, I think it's pretty out there. The reason I'm even listening to it is because it is what it is. Donald Trump really has an uncle that took part in that after the Tesla. He's talked about it many times. There really is a book that's been around for a long time that talks about this. So am I supposed to just deny it? That's why I like to talk about it and think about it, because there's so many different
How do we
things.
process that though? Like, is it just that coincidental? I mean, that's like saying you put 1,000,000 monkeys in a room with typewriters, one of them's going to write like a brilliant book, you know? Like, how is it possible? Because it's either crazy lucky that he named all of those things in his books, or we got some Mandela effect time travel going on. It's one or the other, right?
Right. I don't have an answer for you.
Yeah, I don't like that. Okay, so let me show this other video. Can you see my screen still?
No, you got to go back to your screen.
Okay. Show me the screen. Is that screen? Can
Yeah,
you see it now?
you're good now.
All right, cool. So remember the guy's name is Ingersoll Lockwood, right? So Donald Trump created Space Force. It's the 6th division of our, armed forces. And one of Space Force's largest contractors is a company called Ingersoll Lockwood. And what do? They hire and create all these jobs and bring people to Space Force and to the NSA and to all of these different organizations. Okay, here it is.
Cryptic message. So you know how on Ingersoll Lockwood Incorporated, if you zoom in and click on that little ET, it'll take you straight to the UAP reports, right? Unidentified aerial phenomenon. Well, there's always been this white rabbit link at the bottom of the page that takes you to a cryptic message. Check it out when you click this.
Winds in the east, mist coming in. Like something is brewing, about to begin. Cup of me finger, all what lies in store. I feel what's to happen. All happened before.
In case you don't know who Ingersoll Lockwood is, he's the author of those 2 books, Barron Trump's Underground Journey and The Last President, that freakily go along with President Trump. And we know President Trump declared Space Force the 6th military branch, and Wernher von Braun warned of a false flag alien invasion, and how we know it's coming is when they weaponized space. Ingersoll Lockwood isn't the only person who scripts the future in books, because we have Wernher von Braun's Project Mars, which the main character in this book who colonizes Mars is a character named Elon.
Come on.
Has Psalms 19:1 on it, which says, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the dome of the sky speaks the work of his hands." And Elon Musk is like, "Hey, I can't get through the firmament. Does anyone want to buy SpaceX?" And he posted this saying, "As close as you can get to space while being in a glass dome."
Dude, Elon is such a king, like memer and shiz poster. Is that hilarious? I can't get through the dome.
But but
Maybe there's something to it.
My honest opinion is history does repeat itself, and I think that Elon is the new character that Werner von Braun once was. And look at their affiliates. Look who all Space Force and Ingersoll Lockwood is affiliated with. Wow.
ARPA, NASA.
See a lot of peculiar things on that list.
DHS, NSA.
Ingersoll Lockwood Incorporated and Space Force have been putting cryptic messages in for the last year, showing us that something's coming, but now that the eclipse is on the way, I mean, could it have something to do with it? I don't know.
So that was obviously done before, before the eclipse. But reason why I'm bringing it up is we're going to transition into Ezra's Eagle and the Last President. Like that other book is titled The Last President, and how strange it is that we're in this Donald Trump presidency, potential presidency, right? So, okay, should I jump into that?
Yeah, let's talk about Ezra's Eagle, because this kind of ties into everything that's happening right now, and we may, who knows what Biden's going to do here, right? He just said he's not going to be running. The question is he going to be running the country for the next couple of months, or are they going to ask him to step? Well, say that again.
He hasn't been running the country. It's been Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi. Okay, I see his face. I can't remember his name. There's about 5 of them. Obama's one, but
anyways, okay, jump into Ezra's Eagle.
Okay, so what do we know, kids? What do we know about Ezra's Eagle?
You tell me. I don't know too much about this Ezra Eagle.
Okay. So I know it's an apocryphal writing, Book of Esdras. It's a prophecy that's talking about America, and it's talking about the leadership in America. It has a short feather, long feather. And Trevor, you honestly know the most out of the two of us about this prophecy. And I know for those of you who know who Michael B. Rush is, he's got a whole thing on this. And you could go watch hours and hours and hours of content on Ezra's Eagle. So we're going to try to give you a real high level. But if you want to go deep, I suggest go watch Michael B. Rush's stuff. He's gone pretty deep on this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go through it as best as I can, but I want everyone that's listening to know that, like, this is about as good as if you found a drunk guy and he started telling you about it. Okay, so let me tell you about Ezra's Eagle. He has feathers. So I'm trying to do just a little bit better than that, but I have dug into it. I've been fascinated about it because I did see Michael B. Rush. He had a Q&A, and we're working pretty hard to get Michael B. Rush on the pod. We're in email with him. He's coming back from Europe, and hopefully it'll be happening soon. But I ran into one of his things talking about it, and it scared me. Some of the stuff that he was saying, and I'm like, oh man, I need to know more about Ezra's Eagle. So the significance of Ezra's Eagle is that they've been pretty able to identify these feathers that are depicted in Ezra's dream, and they've correlated them to presidents. And I'm going to show like a map breakout of that. But before I'm going the wrong way, but before I get to that, I want to put a little bit of legitimacy into Ezra, right? And the book of Esdras and the Apocrypha. And Shane, I asked you to cue up.
I'll read it. DNC 91, 1-6 says, Verily thus saith the Lord unto you concerning the Apocrypha, there are many things contained therein that are true, and it is mostly translated correctly. There are many things contained therein that are not true, which are interpolations by the hands of men. Verily I say unto you that it is not needful that the Apocrypha should be translated. Therefore, whoso readeth it, let him understand, for the Spirit manifesteth truth. I think this is interesting, and let me just bring this up. The Apocrypha was written in English. So why is the Lord saying you don't need to translate something that is in English? It's because translation is interpretation sometimes. Sometimes we get so focused on translation is like from this language to that language, but sometimes translation is from English to what it means in English. Verse 5 says, And whoso is enlightened by the Spirit shall obtain benefit therefrom, and whoso receiveth not by the Spirit cannot be benefited. Therefore, it is not needful that it should be translated. Amen.
Yeah.
So,
So
so read the Apocrypha.
yeah.
Realize that you not all of it is important or true or whatever, and some of it's been messed with by the hands of man. But shoot, so is the Bible. So
But let's notate this part, okay? This was in the Bible until the mid to late 1800s. This
true,
was
it
included in the
was. This was
Bible.
in the Bible with the pioneers that were,
Yeah.
this was part of the Bible, and so it's only been taken out in the last 150 years. So if this prophecy is true, and I'm Satan, and I know it's true, I want it out. I don't want you to know about this.
Right. Like if you wanted to control society, you mean? Like the Vatican being like, pull the prophecy, delete type deal?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. All right. So basically the prophecy goes in and it talks about a three-headed government, which is exactly how we are, right? With the three, the judicial, the executive, and it talks about the three heads, right? It talks about it being this powerful nation that rules all over the country like none before, and it's very reminiscent of Daniel's prophecies, right? When he's seeing these dreams and he's telling, was it Nebuchadnezzar? Who was he telling?
So, somebody like that. I think you're
Yeah,
right.
it's
It's
very very similar, right? And
it's page 1111, page 1111, Daniel chapter 7 in the Bible.
it's a good book. That's a good number. Okay, so how people have really nailed these, and this was like done in like this isn't like an LDS thing. Like mainstream Christians were the ones that started pointing this out in this prophecy, and they've identified these feathers of the last 14 presidents of the United States, and the marker how they identified it was through Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So the feathers are representative of the leaders or the kings of this nation, right? And it talks about the length of the feathers, and one of them was twice as long as all the rest. Okay. So Franklin Delano Roosevelt was the only president to serve more than 2 terms. He happened to serve 4 terms.
Right.
And then he got sick. Some think he was poisoned. And then they put the amendment into the
Term
Constitution
limits.
where you can only do it for 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you test the integrity of this model? If this is indeed Franklin Delano Roosevelt, then Harry Truman would be number 3, and it identifies the length of him. He served 2 terms. And then after that, it was Eisenhower, number 4. He
2
served 2
terms.
terms. And then Kennedy came in, and he was cut short.
Short feather.
Whoa. All right. Then Johnson gets in full, and then Nixon gets in. And what happens after Nixon? He get in his second term, he leaves out of disgrace. Doesn't feel right, and then it goes through and it nails every single one. Boom, 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 all the way through Obama, all the way over here to Trump. It predicted that Trump was going to be 1 term. And now, and by the way, that's what's interesting about this. It hits if these guys are 1 term or 2 terms in here in the prophecy, just incredibly. And so when Trump was in and everybody was going towards the election, hit the second time, right, in 2020, people were like, he can't. I don't see how he's going to win because Ezra's eagle wouldn't be true. And everyone was like, it's not true. Ezra's eagle is not true. And then Trump drops out, right? So now here we are in the last phase of this prophecy. And if Ezra's eagle is to be true, Biden can't finish a full term. So it has some specific language in there, and I'd have to defer to somebody who could speak better to it. But something to the effect that this guy doesn't get to the inauguration of the next one. And that's where we are right now. And I've got some interesting tweets that are coming up. So at first, if you guys remember, Biden was healthy, like Angie said. He's sharp as a tack. He's smart. He's healthy. Then he goes out, and then he's saying that I'm not going to step down. I'm running for president. Just like 6 hours, not 6 hours, but 16 hours before he quit, he putting out posts saying that he's not going to quit. He's healthy, and his team's going to do all this. And then he steps down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is he going to just completely quit? Is he going to just ride into the sunset, or is he going to get removed, or is he going to step down? And so now there's tweets. And this is from Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, right? This is the most powerful man in Congress. And at the bottom of this tweet, it says, if Joe Biden is not fit to run for president, he is not fit to serve as a president. He must resign the office immediately. November 5th cannot arrive soon enough. Okay. So then you got a congresswoman saying the same thing. If Joe Biden can't run for re-election, he is unable and unfit to serve as president of the United States, and he must resign immediately. Do you guys think this is going to diminish or increase? And I think there's like a pressure cooker going on trying to get Biden to resign and have Kamala become the first black president in case she doesn't win, so that historically there's a first black president.
So,
Which may not be,
yeah,
that'd be kind of cool.
it's interesting because then President Trump doesn't become the 47th president; he becomes the 48th president,
Right.
because Kamala Harris would essentially be the 47th president. So
And
it is interesting that they're calling for this.
and check this out. Check this out. So here would be Kamala Harris, even if she just was like 6 months or 3 months or 1 month or 1 week. And then you got Trump coming in. And that's how Ezra's eagle prophecy can be true, right? If that happens, then we move into the stout horn and the beast. And these are the last two presidents, and they're not even presidents. And both of their time is only 2 years and 10 months. And then the three heads take over, and it just gets really bad. Really, really bad. But yeah, that's where we are on Ezra's eagle. Do you want me to go in and talk about the stout horn and the beast?
Yeah, I'm totally curious.
Okay. So let's get to the stout horn. So these are the last two rulers or kings, or they say they were kings, right? The stout horn symbolizes a powerful and arrogant leader or kingdom. It emerges among other horns, arising to groups of kings or rulers. Actions, arrogance, blasphemy. The stout horn speaks arrogantly and blasphemous, challenging divine authority. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oppression. It persecutes the faithful, causing significant suffering. That doesn't sound good for Mormons. It persecutes the faithful, causing significant conflict. Engages in aggressive actions leading to wars and conflicts. Duration of rule, just over 2 years. All right. And then there's the beast that comes after the stout horn. And by the way, in Daniel's prophecy, he talks about a stout horn, the exact terminology. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So then there's the beast, which we know that John's talked about the beast. And I don't know if these are the same beasts or if he's seeing something else.
Beasts are interesting because beasts can be good or beasts can be bad. And so you got to understand the beast in context.
This mother here is bad.
Okay, this is a bad beast.
Yeah. So he represents powerful, tyrannical empire or ruler, and he brings chaos and destruction. Oh. Conquest and destruction is his business. He engages in violent conquest, causing widespread destruction and instability. Oppression of the faithful. He targets and persecutes the righteous, leading to great suffering. Blasphemy and rebellion. Speaking against God embodies the ultimate rebellion against divine authority. Now, with what's happening with AI, I can see this kind of stuff happening. And like, there is no God. We're now immortals. If they become sentient, and we're close to it, right? Like, you hear Elon Musk talk about how scary that is once AI becomes sentient and how worried he is. Well, what if we have an AI God that comes out? All of these things would be coming true. I mean, or could be coming true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's some interesting stuff. Book of Daniel, the little horn. In Daniel, the little horn arises among 10 horns of the 4 beasts, representing a powerful and blasphemous ruler who oppresses the saints. The beast in Daniel 7. Daniel's vision describes 4 beasts, with the 4th being particularly terrifying and symbolizing a mighty empire. The little horn on this beast speaks arrogantly and persecutes the faithful, similar to the stout horns in Ezra. I think they're seeing the same thing here.
Interesting.
Um, Book of Revelation talks about the beast rising in Revelations 13. Okay, so let me get to the very last part, and then we'll jump on because we're going long here, but this is fun. Okay, destruction during the rule of the three-headed eagle. So eventually, what happens is the three-headed eagle, which kind of represents like the United States itself, it ends up plucking the feathers out of the last two, like kills and then takes over. And everyone's like, "Oh, it's going to get better." Nope, it's worse. This is like totalitarian, internal conflict and corruption. The three heads of the eagle represent different factions or rulers within the single empire, indicating internal strife and division. Corruption is rampant, war and violence, economic collapse and hardship, moral decay and lawlessness, natural disasters and plagues. Um, so basically, guys, moral of the story is I don't want this to happen.
Right.
Yeah, like where's the silver lining in this thing? Like, where do we come out triumphant? Like,
Yeah, I'm not really excited about where this
let's
is
hope
going.
we're not on that timeline, actually. But it is interesting. So
Okay, so transitioning from Ezra's Eagle, but yet using Ezra's Eagle is who's going to replace Joe Biden? Is it going to be Kamala, or is it going to be somebody else? And people are already starting to throw out some crazy ideas. This is Aaron Sorkin. He wrote a opinion piece today, and he says the Democrat Party should pick a Republican. Very, very smart, right? At their Republican convention next month, the Democrat
at the Democratic convention.
yeah, at the Democratic convention next month, the Democrats should nominate Mitt Romney.
Whoa.
Boo. That's what I say.
But I think he would win. You know what? One of my friends, Sean,
And
Shane,
that
that
would
you
bring
know,
on the
Hey, it
destruction.
is Mitt compromised? I don't know what to
100%.
think about Mitt.
I think Mitt's compromised.
Trevor, you've worked on Mitt's campaigns before.
yeah, I worked for those guys. All my friends did as well, and we thought that he was coming in to fulfill the white horse prophecy and save the Constitution. And we worked for free, and like it wasn't that. I mean, it wasn't like I dedicated a whole year of my life to it. It was just a small period of time. But nonetheless, he let everybody down. He did. He made Utah look bad repeatedly. I mean, like if he was your representative and you lived in California or New York or Oregon, you'd be like super proud that he was your senator, Like he's not a bad dude. He's a really classy dude, but he's as liberal as they can get.
That's what I
Like,
think.
and he lines himself with all of those things that to me give me the ick. And it's
You
like,
know what though? He hates Donald Trump.
I know.
like more than anyone.
Oh, and wouldn't that be interesting to see Donald Trump and Mitt Romney going head to head?
And you know what,
That would
Shane?
be
You know
something.
what? Mitt Romney wins that.
You know what? That's a scary proposition for all of those who are for Trump. I wouldn't want to see Mitt Romney get up there. He speaks well. He's smart.
Well,
He
just
Yeah, he's very
presents well.
eloquent.
think of the numbers alone, okay? You know as well as I do, anyone that they put in there, Democrats are going to vote for, right? So he's going to get 100% of the Democrat vote. How many of the people watching this video that hate Trump are going to go vote for Romney because they like him? Well, Utah, you could totally steal Utah. And then you're going to have all of the people that are, the never Trumpers, that are mostly government people that are Republicans, like, and academia. Most of academia, high academia, that are Republicans love Romney, hate Trump. They're never Trumpers. And so if Romney got that, dude, he would totally win. Now, I'm not saying it would happen, but I got to give my buddy Sean a shout out for predicting that a while ago. He was like, dude, you know who could win? Not Big Mike, but Romney. If they put Romney in, he'd win. And I'm like, holy crap, you're right.
And oh, go ahead, Ange.
I was just going to say, I still, I have hunches. I think they're going to try to prop up Hillary at the DNC
And just
convention.
betting on Hillary.
That's what I'm betting on.
I'm betting on I'm betting on Kamala just because it's the safest bet. But I don't think Kamala can win. I don't think Gavin Newsom would do better than Kamala.
And I don't think Gavin Newsom can win. I think the best people that have the best shot would be Michelle Obama or Mitt Romney.
Yeah, Michelle Obama could probably win.
But
okay.
I don't know if Michelle Obama would run, and I don't know if Mitt Romney would run. But if he did, let's talk white horse prophecy.
Yeah, white horse prophecy. This is one of the most cliche LDS. What if you're talking about deep doctrine to your buddies, like, bro, have you heard of the white horse prophecy though?
This is a LatterDay conspiracy for sure.
Tell us about it.
So, like, Joseph Smith, he gave this prophecy that in the last days the Constitution would literally be hanging by a thread, bro. And what happens is one of the saints or the elders of the church are pretty much gonna save the church,
save the country.
Yes. Okay. So you want to see the video on it? Here we go. This guy debunks it. We're going to talk about it after.
Okay. Hey guys, so whenever a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints runs for political office, you might start to hear talk about something called the white horse prophecy. People both inside and outside our faith understandably have lots of questions about what that prophecy is and whether or not it's legit, so let's talk about it. Okay, so the white horse prophecy is purportedly a prophecy given by Joseph Smith in 1843 in the presence of two other people, Edwin Rushton and Theodore Turley. The earliest written record we have of the prophecy is from Edwin Rushton, written sometime after 1890. Rushton would have been around 70-ish years old, recalling an event from when he was about 20 years old. And Turley wouldn't have been much help because he was super dead by the 1890s.
You've got to see it. He's super dead.
But according to the prophecy, at some point in the future, you will see the Constitution of the United States almost destroyed so that it will only be saved, as it were, by a thread.
Boom, there it is, guys. You can turn off the video, go to bed. See you later, Zion Media. Just kidding. We'll keep going.
And it would be saved by the white horse and red horse combined in its defense. Okay, so in the book of Revelation, we read about the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
We are the four horsemen. Good night.
They ride on a white horse, a red horse, a black horse, and a pale horse. In the white horse prophecy, the white horse represents members of the church. An interpretation of what the red horse represents is not given. It is hinted that the black horse represents freed slaves of African descent. And the pale horse represents the people of the United States. So according to the prophecy, the white horse, or the church, along with whatever the red horse is, are somehow to save the Constitution. Now, while the white horse prophecy gets talked about a lot, what most people don't know is that the church does not consider it legitimate.
I'm not legit. I'm unlegit. And for that reason, I must quit.
In 1918, after copies of a revision of the prophecy started gaining popularity, President Joseph F. Smith said in General Conference, "The ridiculous story about the red horse and the black horse and the white horse, and a lot of trash that has been circulated about and printed and sent around as a great revelation given by the prophet Joseph Smith, was never spoken by the prophet in the manner in which they have put it forth. It is simply false. That is all there is to it."
Bro, why they gotta be stepping on our fun conspiracies?
Did you see that?
Just a bunch of trash.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of trash, you guys. Hey, what if he really did say it? I'm going to keep going.
More recently, you've got this quote from Bruce R. McConkie. From time to time, accounts of various supposed visions, revelations, and prophecies are spread forth by and among the Latter-day Saints who should know better than to believe or spread such false information. One of these false and deceptive documents that has cropped up again and again for over a century is the so-called white horse prophecy.
Okay, wait. But, Mormon Doctrine by Bruce R. McConkie, right? I love that book. I grew up on it as a teenager after my mission. And I think it's kind of funny right now. The church treats Mormon doctrine, his book, kind of the way that he's talking about the white horse prophecy.
Totally.
I love that book. I love all the stuff in there. No, none of that's true. It was all made up.
Totally. But they'll use a quote from Bruce R. McConkie when it fits. Oh, Bruce R. McConkie said this we like this, but yeah, Mormon doctrine, that's trash.
Yeah, if I was his family, like grandson or whatever, I'd be bothered. I'd be like going to the church office being like, bros, can we talk about how you could say that better?
Well, for some time, they really used the
Mormon
Mormon
doctrine.
doctrine
Do you
as
remember like
absolute.
in high school and early
Uh-huh.
marriage, like it was brought up in class.
Yeah,
all
it was like legit. And in Mormon
if you
doctrine, and for
quoted from
some,
that, it was like almost as good as
Mhm.
canon. People were like, oh wow, they're quoting from Mormon doctrine. This guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's how it was growing up until about in my 20s. I think they started to come and say,
If you dig deep on Mormon doctrine, you find out that he wasn't supposed to release it. He did release it, and then the brethren made him go in and make like a bunch of edits to
revisions.
it.
Yeah, that's why
Revisions.
you got to have the first or second edition. It's got all the gems, all of his
All the
original
goods.
position. Yeah, what was his position? You can go, you can find those first and second editions online now for nothing, which is so nice. The internet. Back in the day, I had to buy that. Okay, we're gonna finish this. This guy's just gonna totally talk trash on it.
This supposed prophecy purports to be a long and detailed account by the prophet Joseph Smith concerning the wars, turmoils, and difficulties which should exist in the last days. And even more recently, in 2010, the church made the following statement. The so-called White Horse prophecy is based on accounts that have not been substantiated by historical research and is not embraced as church doctrine. There are lots of issues with Edwin Rushton's recollection of the event, which you can read all about via the links in the description. But you may be wondering, if the church has disavowed this prophecy so many times, why do people still think it's actually a thing?
That is an excellent question.
Well, probably because parts of it are based on more reliable statements and parts are not. For example, what you're looking at right now, which you can pause and read if you'd like, are multiple statements reporting that on multiple occasions Joseph talked about the Constitution of the United States being in danger in the future and the Latter-day Saints having a role in preserving it. Brigham Young and several other church leaders have referenced this idea of the Constitution one day hanging by a thread. Thus, while not canonized in Scripture, Latter-day Saints generally believe this specific detail to be prophetic. But you'll notice that in none of these accounts is anything said whatsoever of these different colored horses until the Rushton account decades later. Hence the folklore status of this horse business.
Why didn't you say that in the first place? That's a horse of a different color. Come on in.
But even
Okay, I'm gonna just stop it there. So to me, that doesn't disprove it at all.
No, I mean it's actually saying that Joseph Smith said that the Constitution hang by a thread. What he's trying to say is that the part of the prophecy that an LDS guy would become president. That's what they're trying to debunk there. But clearly the prophecy is America would be where America is right now.
So listen to this, okay? So he went in and was like, well, that was never, Bruce R. McConkie said this about it, and Joseph Fielding Smith said this about it. Well, let me tell you what people that quoted from it and talked about it, okay? So Orson Hyde, 1858, Apostle Orson Hyde made a statement that was frequently referenced in discussions about the prophecy. He reportedly said, when the Constitution of the United States hangs, as it were, upon a single thread, they will have to call for the Mormon elders to save it from utter destruction, and they will step forth and do it. Ezra Taft Benson frequently spoke about the importance of the U.S. Constitution and the prophecy regarding its preservation. In 1986 General Conference, talk titled "The Constitution, the Heavenly Banner," he said, "I have faith that the Constitution will be saved as prophesied by Joseph Smith." Okay, wait, what? As prophesied by Joseph Smith. So what prophecy is he talking about? This is the prophecy. But it will not be saved in Washington. It will be saved by the citizens of this nation who love and cherish freedom. It will be saved by the enlightened members of this church.
Let me just say the enlightened members of the church. That's an interesting phrase for him to throw in there.
Yeah, what is that? That's a Easter egg, huh? Yeah, who will subscribe to abide by the principles of the Constitution. And then lastly, J. Reuben Clark, for his presidency, expressed his belief in the prophecy and emphasized the importance of the Constitution. He stated, "You and I have heard all our lives that the time may come when the Constitution may hang by a thread, and if it does, we will be the ones who will step forward to save it."
If there ever was a time in the history of America where you could say that the Constitution is hanging by a thread, it's right now. We're living in it.
Yeah. So that's it, kids. That's the last of our slides.
Incredible. Well, thank you all for indulging us in what we're calling Latter-day Conspiracies. Angie, do you have any final thoughts for us as we close this out as far as any Latter-day Conspiracies or things you're looking at?
Oh, not any Latter-day Conspiracy. One thing I am really looking at is I really think people need to realize that how serious this is, that an assassination was taken on President Trump. I think that they thought that it wouldn't fail. President is stepping down. We are in some really crazy times.
Way crazy times.
So I do think it's time to take these things serious and really. I don't think necessarily you have to get into conspiracy and worry about all that stuff. But I think it's a time
Get your
to
house
really,
in order type stuff.
yes, stay close to the Lord and use discernment and figure out what you're supposed to be doing at this time for your family and for yourself, because I feel like we're watching a movie in some ways.
That's what I feel like when I go to my Twitter feed. I'm just like, wait, what? I'm like gone for 20 minutes and I go back and refresh. I'm like, wait.
I feel like Twitter is really where you can get up to date. Well, it's X now, up to date information. I follow Elon. I follow Alex Jones. I follow a lot of people that are talking about, what's just happened with President Trump.
So I'm just like, I'm still in denial because I don't want it to happen. I don't want the tribulation to happen. I don't want, just give me a little more time.
Well, let me tell everybody this one thing. A wise man once told me, Shane, it can either be as bad as the scriptures say or not as bad. And that depends on us. It depends on our faith. It depends on our obedience. And so we can literally make life easier on us if we will turn to the Savior, if we will love our fellow man, if we will assist and serve our neighbor. There are so many things that we can do to make it not as bad for us.
Well, and I think one thing that everyone needs to remember at this time, because it is kind of a scary time, is that you have more in common with your neighbor than you do any of these political figures. There might be a time that's going to be more important of who's around you, taking care of your neighbors and your family, than what's going on in Washington.
Yeah,
this next year.
That's a way good point. And Shane, to your point, made me think of it when you were saying it. There's promises in all of these different revelations about how the righteous are delivered, right? And even the evangelicals, they have this rapture concept, right? And there's some linear logic in the rapture, but what is that showing? It's showing that the Lord saves those that are righteous from what's about to happen, right? And it's talked about in tons of different scriptures, like prophecies, that Michael will come down with 40,000 angels in the book of Enoch, promises that the remnant of Jacob will come with with the Davidic servant and John the Beloved to save us at the last days. And so I guess if you don't have money to go and grab silver or gold at the bank, if you're feeling despair, like, I don't even know if I can get food storage, at least you can be righteous. At least you can, get that thing buttoned up, because you'll be one of the ones that are scooped up.
Yes. And remember, oftentimes the scriptures will say, unless they repent, or if they repent. And so let's just repent. Let's make it easier on ourselves. Let's just repent. So thank you all.
No, we're not ending there, bro. I got a good question for you. Do you think we can change the timeline? You know how Jonas
Listen, I am telling you right now, there are things in the scriptures that in 2015, for whatever reason, I don't believe they existed. Are you familiar with a
Mandela
prophet?
effect? You're talking about Mandela effect in the scriptures?
In the scriptures. Are you familiar with the prophet whose name is Phanuel in the book of Luke, who has a daughter that's a prophetess named Anna? Do you know that story?
No, I don't.
Yeah, it's in the scripture. It just showed up there. Literally just showed up there. I'm not kidding you. Now, there are some people who are like, yeah, it's always been there. I'm like, I've read the scriptures. I don't remember a prophetess named Anna and a father named Phanuel. I think it's in the book of Luke. I think it's Luke chapter 2. And I'm not kidding.
We're talking Berenstein Bears level.
Yes.
I'm not sure about that. I've never understood totally the Mandela effect, so that's one that I'm not.
Well, we need to do, guys. We'll do another one of these.
We're doing a Latter-day conspiracy
CERN.
on
The
CERN.
Mandela effect and CERN.
Mandela effect. Listen, did Richard Simmons die in 2014, or did he just barely die?
Both happened. I'm 100% positive of it.
Yeah. So we're living in some strange times.
All right.
We'll talk about that in our upcoming episodes. But thank you guys for tuning in. Post in the comments your conspiracies. We would love to investigate different things and love to have other people on. Put your tinfoil hats on, buckle in. This is going to be a fun series where we're going to explore all the Latter-day conspiracies. For myself, I'm Shane Baldwin. For my partner over there, Trevor Keys, and my main partner, the love of my life, Angie Baldwin. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next episode on Latter-day Conspiracies.